Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I'm your host, Mike German. I'm here with my friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman, as well as our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham. We are recording this on a Tuesday, the day after Canada Day. I hope you guys had a good Canada Day. Was it nice?
It was fine.
Yeah. Canada Day is always usually traveling back from a cottage or you're in a car. It's never usually the good day.
Yeah, the day itself is kind of whatever. The day before is great.
The Sunday.
Yeah.
Because, no one has to go to
The
work
Sunday
the next
feels
day.
like a Saturday.
Yeah.
I always wonder with you, Max, because like whenever we get like a holiday, it's like, oh, nice. We don't have to go into work on Monday or Friday. You have no sort of conventional hours. Do you even feel when something like that is happening?
Every day is kind of a holiday for me. I'll be totally honest.
Every day's Canada Day for you.
But I will say it only affects me in that I pick up on the moods of my friends. Mm-hmm. So if I was like, hey, let's go out tonight, like on Monday, Canada Day, people go, no, I have to go to work the next day, which would bum me out.
Yeah.
So I like holidays because it's a reflection of what my friends are up to.
So a Saturday night does still feel like a Saturday night because your friends are off.
Because everybody's got juice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's how you feel sort of the ebb and flow of the week.
Exactly.
Through your friends' energy.
Yeah, exactly. But mysteriously, we got a text message from Erica this morning at about 7:30.
Intern Erica.
Saying, guys, I'm not really feeling that great this morning. I was hoping I could just get the files and I'll mix it down. So the question is, though, do you think she's actually sick or do you think she's hungover?
Well, let's take a vote here. There's three of us.
Yeah.
We can make a deciding. Mike, what's your vote? Sick or not?
I'm going to go hungover.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to believe her.
What are you going to say?
I definitely think she's sick from being hungover.
And I definitely think she's hungover.
Yeah.
Because when you're hungover, there's like a certain inability just to like take on the world, which I think is different than like if someone has like a pretty bad cold or like, oh, I'm feeling a little feverish. Like you can like, if you're a little feverish, you could tough it out. But being hungover, like I cannot possibly get out of bed to go do a thing and interact with people. Because interacting with people when you're hungover is a nightmare.
And she used special wording in the text.
What did she say?
Like when you're actually sick, it's like, I'm sick. When you're hungover, you're like, I think I might have to maybe sit this one out. And the text is just cloaked in shame, right? Because it's like, maybe if you're mad, I can come in. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, she's younger, and the younger people like to drink. And Canada Days, I feel like a big holiday for someone in their early 20s, so it's understandable.
Yeah, and Erica, I can see, and I see this in ourselves as well, but she's a younger version, that, someone puts the idea in her head, Sunday night, let's go for it. I can see her getting swept away.
Well, the Sunday night, I mean, yesterday was Monday.
Yeah.
So what happens,
Monday, yeah.
So what happens is like you go for a brunch. Oh, it's Canada Day. Let's go to a patio. And that's where it starts. And then before you know it, it's like 8 o'clock and you're 2 a.m. drunk and you're like, oh shit, tomorrow's Tuesday and I gotta go to work.
Well, everyone's at like a cottage and they're wearing like Canada Day bikinis and stuff.
You're talking about your wife?
Yeah.
I did zoom in on that thigh, I will be honest.
Happy Canada Day.
Yeah. All right, Erica.
All right. Well,
you better edit the shit out of this. No, do not edit this.
No, don't
you
drop
better
a word
mix the hell
because
out of
Erica
it.
will be editing this. Hopefully, she's feeling a little better by the time these files get to her. Maybe she's had an egg McMuffin and a coffee. And, but whether it is a hangover or you're legitimately, ailing from a flu,
we hope you get better.
Get well soon. I suspect it'll be around 4 o'clock today. That's when I get better, when I'm sick. I'm doing
that turning point is really important.
Okay, so today the topics, fellas, are we're going to talk Taylor Swift because she's been in the news for some sort of insidery music biz stuff. Music catalogs, who owns the rights to the music. There's a lot of money, especially on her tracks because they are so internationally famous. So we're going to talk a bit about that because obviously I think Max has a unique perspective.
This is Manager Ash's favorite subject in the world right
Really?
now. Oh, she's so excited for this episode.
Great.
I almost wish she could be on it, but then she'd probably want to silence herself just out of,
She's
reputation.
She's such a savvy. I feel like she would sort of not contribute in such a loose way because she's so sort of self-aware and like sort of the ability like maybe I shouldn't speak on this.
Well, she'd be the first person to go, all these people are fucking crazy morons for like talking out on this. But which is what makes it so exciting because this is the kind of industry chatter. I'll let you set up in a second though. That happens probably all the time behind closed doors, which makes this whole situation so delicious.
It's out in the public.
Yeah, because it's like we being in the industry, we've all heard versions of this kind of story where like various bigwigs fucking hate each other and they're fighting over a slice of the pie and things get really nasty, but it never comes out in this way. So set it up, Mike.
Well, hey, yeah. Let's just jump right into Taylor Swift. We'll get to the other subjects after this one. So essentially, Taylor Swift was signed to Big Machine, I believe is the name of the label, run by Scott Borchetta.
A close personal friend of mine.
That's right. You've been on the launch with him on CTV. He's a former pod guest. So he owns that label. He's the guy that discovered Taylor Swift and did her first, 6 records? How many records?
Five.
First
4 or
5
5,
records,
yeah.
whatever. The first part of her catalog, all of her like major sort of albums, like a lot of her major hits were done on this label. So whenever you sign a deal like this, and I don't know the full nature of her deal, but there's obviously like sort of like a rights share and like a publishing and all that stuff that Big Machine would own. So even though she's the generator of the creative, they will own a piece of that business. So Scott Borchetta decides to sell the label. When you sell the label, when you buy a label like that, you inherit all of the assets. And one of those assets is Taylor Swift's catalog, which is worth, like I said, millions.
I don't know if he totally sold the label. He sold her catalog or part of the catalog.
I think he sold everything.
He sold everything?
And then they got the catalog with the label.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So he sold the label to Scooter Braun, who is Justin Bieber's manager. Scooter Braun bought it for a reported $300 million. That's why I don't think it was just the catalog. I think he bought
Okay.
Big Machine, which involved her catalog, because Scott Borchetta just sent an email out to the label saying, hey, Scooter's got a vision. It's going to be great going forward, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was how I understood the reading.
You're probably right.
So this happens. It's kind of like this big news drop, but again, kind of an industry thing that sort of matters, doesn't really matter. Again, wouldn't even really be a news item outside of the music industry if not for the fact that Taylor Swift decided to get on Tumblr and make a post about how this is absolutely the worst thing that could have happened to her. And here's why she said it could have been the worst thing that happened to her. She doesn't like Scooter Braun. I guess she feels like Scooter Braun is like a bully, and that him and Bieber, there was something with Kanye and Kim and this whole like, there's like past beef.
Oh, yeah, there is. I mean, the big one is that Kanye has a song. Kanye famously interrupted Taylor Swift at that award ceremony like 10 years ago. He then put out a song a few years after that about him and Taylor still might have sex. Do you guys remember that lyric?
Yeah.
Yep.
And Taylor was very outraged by that song. And then Kim published a phone call, or she sent out a phone call between Taylor and Kanye, secretly recorded, where kind of proves that Taylor maybe knew that the song was going to come out.
Well, in the snippet, it's Taylor giving her consent to use that and seeming very cool with the lyric.
Yeah, and then afterwards, she said she wasn't cool with the lyric.
Right. So because of that, she has beef with Scooter Braun. So the fact that it's Scooter that now owns like the majority of her catalog, I think is crushing her. There was actually a similar story to this back in the day where the Beatles, basically Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson had done a song called Say, Say, Say together. And I guess while on set, Paul said to Michael, hey, just so you know, all the big money is in publishing. You need to buy music rights. Michael Jackson goes, oh, that's interesting. And Michael Jackson decided to, with his vast wealth, buy the rights to the Beatles music catalog.
Paul's like, I wasn't talking about our catalog.
Exactly. But Paul wanted to buy it. So Paul was bidding eventually against Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson outbid him. And so for years, Michael Jackson owned the Beatles catalog, which, it actually ruined the relationship between Paul and Michael. And Paul was like, fuck, I want to own my own music, and I can't because I couldn't afford it. I think Taylor's been trying to buy her catalog back as well. This is what she sort of says in her Tumblr post. So ultimately she says, this is my worst.
Wait, just because I want to understand something. Owning the music just means you can use it in movies and stuff, and that's very profitable. That's the thing they want to own.
There's also rights when you play it live. So when Taylor Swift plays, I don't know, name a huge hit from hers, like from her early Romeo and Juliet, let's say.
I don't think that's the name of the song, but yeah.
Wait, what's it called?
Love Story.
There you go. I'm not like the biggest fan. You have to pay a royalty when you pay it live. Am I right?
There's a live royalties from the
So
songs.
Scooter Braun will now get paid every time she goes on tour.
Wow.
Scooter Braun will get paid every time it gets placed in the music. She still makes
every time
money.
it gets streamed.
Yeah.
He'll make the money.
Very cool.
As a part owner in the track. She'll probably still get the majority, depending on the deal.
Yeah, in the master license, and the master is for that original recording that originally Scott Borchetta paid for as Big Machine label, and now he's sold the right to Scooter Braun. Now he'll take the money for it.
Yeah. So she says, "This is my worst case scenario." Talking about Scooter Braun buying the catalog. When I left my masters in Big Machine label group founder Scott Borchetta's hands, I made peace with the fact that eventually he would sell them, she writes. Never in my worst nightmares did I imagine the buyer would be Scooter. She then goes on to talk about, she's like, my musical legacy is about to lie in the hands of someone who tried to dismantle it. So, Max, what about this do you find like sort of so juicy other than the fact that it's dirty laundry out in a public forum?
Oh, I love so much of it. Well, I mean, I love all of it, honestly. The first part is just the way everybody responds, which maybe we should start with first. So she puts out this statement on her Tumblr. and then Scooter's wife gets involved.
I saw that.
And then Scott Borchetta puts out a statement, and then Scott Borchetta's former business partner, puts out a statement, and then every celebrity is
Justin Bieber put out a statement.
Bieber,
Scooter.
I think was
he was the
maybe,
first one.
I think Bieber was the first
Which
one.
side is he on?
Scooter's his manager. He loves Scooter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, and it's like
Very
worded in a
poorly
funny way.
written.
It is.
Not to be the grammar police, but
Yeah. Should I just read Bieber's statement?
yeah, read Bieber's statement.
Okay, we're just gonna-
Yeah, and it is totally worth the deep dive here, folks. So yeah, so just the way everybody sort of is now getting involved again in issues that people normally wouldn't like typically comment on. So you got there, Mike?
Yeah, he's like, so he posts a photo of him and Taylor Swift from like 10 years ago. And he goes, "Hey, Taylor, first of all, I would like to apologize for posting that hurtful Instagram post." So that was one of the beefs she had that I guess they kind of bullied her during the Kanye thing. At the time, I thought it was funny, but looking back, it was distasteful and insensitive. I have to be honest, though, it was my caption and post that I screenshotted of Scooter and Kanye that said, "Taylor Swift, what up?" He didn't have anything to do with it, and it wasn't even a part of the conversation. In all actuality, he was the person who told me not to joke like that. ... Scooter has had your back since the days you graciously let me open for you. As the years have passed, we haven't crossed paths and gotten to communicate our differences, hurts, or frustrations. So for you to take it to social media and get people
Okay,
to...
hold on. So up to that point, it's actually quite a gracious apology.
That's kind of a good way to mend fences. And
That's
be like,
a pretty good way. Carry on.
I'm excited.
However, okay, so for you to take it to social media and get people to hate on Scooter isn't fair. What were you trying to accomplish by posting that blog? Seems to me like it was to get sympathy. You also knew that in posting that your fans would go and bully Scooter. Anyway, one thing I know is both Scooter and I love you.
That's a turn I wasn't expecting.
Well, yeah, he's turned twice already, right? He's like, nice. Got it going for her. Back to nice. Carry on.
I feel like the only way to resolve conflict is through communication. So banter back and forth online, I don't believe solves
Which
anything.
is what he's doing right now.
Yep. I'm sure Scooter and I would love to talk to you and resolve any conflict. Why is Bieber all of a sudden involved in this, by the way? Like, let me broker this. Why don't the three of us sit down? It's really between Scooter and Taylor.
I think because Taylor had that picture of him in the bullying thing, and that's a big accusation these days.
Okay. I'm sure Scooter and I would love to talk to you and resolve any conflict, pain, or any feelings that need to be addressed. Neither Scooter or I have anything negative to say about you. We just said negative things about her.
Well, maybe he's done. Maybe
Yeah,
that's what he means.
no more. We don't have any more negative things to say about you. We truly want the best for you. I usually don't rebuttal things like this, but when you try and deface someone I love's character, that's crossing a line.
Yeah, I would have sent that to like a lawyer or somebody very smart first, had them edit it, and then put it on the caption, wouldn't you?
Oh, of course.
Like you're probably good at writing those sort of things. So you would need
but the editing process is
Yeah.
intense. You know, you don't want to spell your incorrectly. You know.
Oh,
like
there was
that.
a lot of like use as the letter. And by the way, whatever. Justin's a pop star. You know, he's whatever. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
It's the sentiment of what he's saying. We're not the grammar police, like you said. I'm sure we could all get killed on.
Okay.
Of course, that's why I send it to my wife to edit it anytime I do anything.
Yeah.
So then Yale, who is Scooter's wife, she puts out a statement.
Her name's Yale.
Yale. Yeah. I always say.
Were
that
you
name wrong.
following her before this?
No.
I was.
I saw you like it. So I was like, Shane's all about
Why
it.
did you follow her?
Well, you know, she doesn't look bad.
So wait, let me just say, you've been following Scooter Braun's wife all this time.
To be fair, she has 437,000.
I never even knew who this person was as an entity.
I mean, she's a bit. I mean, Scooter,
And I started following her when I was single.
You thought that you had a
For the
shot.
record, if anyone's listening, I don't know.
It's just an interesting follow. Like, how do you even come across her?
I just love my wife.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so Yale post. What does she post?
Do you want to read Yale or I'll read it?
You're a better reader than me. so
Okay,
you do.
I've never been one for public airing of laundry, but when you attack my husband, here we go. Let's start with @Taylor Swift. Whoa. Then let's get the facts straight. You were given the opportunity to own your own masters. You passed. Interesting that the man you're so, quote, grossed out by believed in you more than you believed in yourself. Your dad is a shareholder and was notified, and Borchetta personally told you before this came out. So no, you didn't find out with the rest of the world. And girl, who are you talking about bullying? The world has watched you collect and drop friends like wilted flowers.
Whoa.
My husband is anything but a bully. He spent his life standing up for people and causes he believes in. Beyond that, it's easy to see the point of putting this out was to get to people to bully him. You're supposed to be a role model. but continue to model bullying. Wow.
Dang, dude.
He's a manager, not God. He can't control the actions of other humans, even ones he manages. Don't blame him because Kim caught you in a lie. It's embarrassing, I know, but adults own up to their mistakes. We learn and grow from them. We don't divert blame and blur the lines of reality to suit our own needs. What you haven't seen is what happens behind closed doors when he has supported and stood up for you, when he has challenged his clients to be kind or be quiet, when he has reached out an olive branch out to you on a number of occasions. Scooter was so excited to work and build with you. How embarrassing this temper tantrum is because you didn't get your own way. He believes in and supports you, and I sincerely hope you can learn to love and believe in yourself the way my husband does, which is so condescending.
Wow.
It's almost done. Lastly, if you think he can control his clients, please control your fans. Leave our personal life and kids out of this. You don't understand that yet, which I guess is inferring like being a mom.
Kids.
Yeah. What line that crosses, but one day you will. And I hope that you have the dignity, class, and kindness to leave your fans out of this and have an open discussion. Tumblr can't fix this. A phone call can.
Wow.
That's pretty devastating.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
That's why I
That was
double
very
tapped.
effective.
That's why I double tapped.
That's why Shane liked it.
Yeah, I'm on her side.
Yeah, that's why
and
you
I
liked
believe
it,
her.
along with the bikini pics. I've never. Okay, what's her Insta? I gotta look at. I have to look at
Yael.
It's
Yale.
just- she got the first Yale. Yael.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say the name.
And then she disabled her comments because I guess she was getting attacked.
Oh, the Swiftie fans, yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
another piece of this, I was kind of scrolling through the thing. She just posted a photo with Carly Kloss, who famously used to be Taylor's best
Besties.
friend, a week ago at Carly Kloss's wedding. Apparently, Carly Kloss. I was listening, by the way, to Juliet Littman's podcast on The Ringer, and she just does a thing this morning on this issue. It's really fucking good. So if you want to learn more, that podcast is wicked. But yeah. So I wonder what the story. Did you see that? Did you see that photo with Carly Kloss?
No.
Yeah. So they're all hanging out.
Oh yes, sir. I only looked at that photo to check out the comments.
Yeah. So basically, we're in a situation where celebrities are going to have to take sides. Whether are you on Team Taylor and you're going to start? What are you looking at, Mike?
I'm looking at her Instagram.
Deep diving.
Yeah, she looks like a very good mom.
Yeah, great mom. But anyway, so then, so what do you guys make of that response? You're into
I thought it was excellent.
Yeah.
I thought that was devastating.
And it was well worded, you know.
Yeah.
Bieber should have sent his statement to her to edit, and then she
Exactly.
could have sent it back.
Yeah. So then I think the big kicker here is the Borchetta Statement. Did you read this one?
I haven't.
Oh, it's really, really good.
Should I read it for the people, or are you going to give it to us, Maxie?
I have it here, right here. It's kind of long, but basically,
Do you want to just sum it up?
Paraphrase?
So basically, Borchetta comes out saying, listen, the idea that you didn't know this was happening is a total lie. Your dad is on the board of directors. These conversations were happening a week ago, and not only did your dad know this was happening, but also your lawyers knew this was happening. And also, I texted you as a courtesy. I didn't need to text you, but the night before it came out, and you never got back to me. So it's like he says, so sure, maybe there's a reality where you never saw my text, or maybe there's a reality where you never talked to your lawyer or never talked to your dad. But I find that hard to believe. It goes on and on here. He tries to. I think Scott tries to make a point of saying it's like, you know, when you decided to part ways, this would have been early in the year, and sign with Universal as opposed to a new deal with Big Machine. I was publicly happy for you, and obviously probably sucked for him on a certain level, but like there was no bad blood. And he's trying to say it's like this was.
Is that a pun?
Yeah. Well done, Max. Any pun I've ever made has always been by accident, but I'm not kidding. But he doesn't screen cap the text receipts, but he does type them up. This is the text Taylor sent to me on Monday.
Oh my God! It's getting this.
Oh my God!
That's a weird step to take. But go on.
First he goes, as to her comments about being in tears or close to it any time my new partner Scooter Braun's name was brought up. I certainly never experienced that. Was I aware of some prior issues between Taylor and Justin Bieber? Yes. But were there also times when Taylor knew that I was close to Scooter and that Scooter was a very good source of information for upcoming album releases, tours, etc., and I'd reach out to him for information on our behalf? Yes. Scooter was anything but positive about Taylor. He called me directly about Manchester to see if Taylor would participate, referring to Ariana Grande's Manchester concert.
Charity concert, yeah.
Brackets, she declined.
Oh.
He called me directly to see if Taylor wanted to participate in the Parkland March because Scooter has been famously really involved in gun violence. brackets, she declined. Wow. Scooter has always been and will continue to be a supporter and honest custodian for Taylor and her music. This is the text Taylor sent to me Monday, November 17th at 8:57 a.m. Scott, I hope this finds you well. Since our communication ran dry on negotiations, I've done what I told you I would do and gone out to explore other options. Owning my masters was very important to me, but I've since realized that there are other things that mean even more to me in the bigger picture. I had a choice whether to bet on my past or to bet on my future, and I think knowing me, you can guess which one I chose. I also saw a rare opportunity to affect positive change for a lot of other artists with the leverage I have right now. I know you believe in the same things I do, and I like to think that you'd be proud of what I've negotiated for my deal. I wanted to tell you first that I'll be signing with Lucian, who is the head of Universal Music. I honestly, truly cherish everything you and I have built together, and I plan on saying so in my new announcement of the new deal. What we accomplish together would be a lasting legacy and a case study in excellent partnerships, and may it continue. I still view you as a partner and a friend. I hope you feel the same. Sending you a hug and my most sincere gratitude and so much love, Taylor. Here's what I sent the next day. Dear Taylor, hope all is well. Congratulations on the success of your new 2 singles, from Lover. I can't wait to hear the entire album. I want to pass along to you the same courtesy that you passed along to me in regard to my future. Tomorrow morning at 10 Central, the Wall Street Journal will announce that I'm entering a merger acquisition with Scooter Braun and Ithaca Holdings. This move will give us more pop culture superpower than ever before, and I'm so excited about the future. I wanted you to know that I will continue to be the proud custodian of your previous works and will continue to keep you and your team abreast of all the future plans and releases of your work. Nothing but the best, Scott. So, and he sent a screen grab of like the deal points that he had offered her. So, by the way, I think a lot of people are a little bit confused because why is Taylor so upset that this is happening? Because he talks about, I want to be an honest custodian of your work.
So I guess you were right. So when it's a merger acquisition, I guess it means that he will stay on, even though like Scooter will own the majority.
Scooter will own it. Yeah. And there are definitely instances where maybe the music, where maybe Taylor would want to use the music, those masters in a certain way.
He could be a gatekeeper.
Yeah, and Scooter could go, no, it's like, oh, you want to do this thing? No, I'm not. I'm anti-Nike, so I'm not going to let you use that song.
In theory,
Nike. In theory. But
I think her issue is that I hate this camp, Scooter and Bieber and all these guys, and I now have to work with them. No matter what. I have to be on some sort of email chain. They're now part of my life. I cannot just cut them out.
Which is funny because this is how incestuous this whole thing is. So Lucian, who she mentions is signing, who is the head of Universal Records International, he and Scooter are next door neighbors in Palm Springs. He is a mentor to Scooter Braun. Scooter's own label is through Universal, as is Big Machine. Like all these people kind of have to interact with each other all the time anyway.
Sure.
So I think it's funny because there's a lot of Taylor Swift fans out there that are coming to her defense and don't quite understand the nuances or the kind of history of how the music industry was built and how it fucking works, but just go, this is outrageous that a man is owning a woman's music.
Well, a lot of artists have jumped in. Do you see Haim they have their team Taylor, like
Halsey.
Yeah.
They're definitely. This is an angle that they're taking, which is, and I mean, obviously, like the man-woman thing. It's more, this kind of talks about what we talked about last episode. It's the idea of who are the money people and do they own the creative?
Yeah.
But sure. they do, right? That's part of the deal going into it.
That's the arrangement.
And
people are trying to...
Anyone who's defending it is going from an emotional angle. Like, I wrote this song on a toilet, now you have it? It's
but
like,
they might be
deal.
trying to break the wheel. They might want to break the system. Because Max is saying, well, this is how the business works.
Well, okay, it's more nuanced. And by the way, I didn't mean my tone to sound like, fuck Taylor and like... Those people should own like Scooter Braun should own the. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying there is a history in the music industry of artists being taken advantage for sure. Go back to like the 1950s with black musicians who signed terrible deals and then they never made a dime. Like famously, I think Chuck Berry made very little money off his.
He had to be on the road until he was like 90. Because he didn't make any money probably off his masters.
Yeah, off the masters and like savvy businessmen. Because basically a label acts as a bank. So they take a chance, like a startup, on a young artist, and 99% of the time they don't make their money back. And I mean that's not statistically correct necessarily, but
a lot of the times they don't.
Most of the time, no.
Lennon and McCartney, the most famous songwriting team in pop music, got a terrible deal.
Yeah, and 1% of the time the label makes their money back on a Lennon McCartney or a Taylor Swift. So, like, should there be, I don't know, maybe some legislation on how the deals work to make sure that, like, in the event, Taylor Swift emerges or Lennon McCartney, they can get their their masters back after 10 years or something like that, so they can begin to make money back or have ownership. Sure, and that would kind of be in the hands of a really savvy lawyer. But a lot of people, when you're 15 years old, have no leverage to negotiate with a big label, and this is kind of what is happened to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So the
and the argument for the label side is a 15-year-old Taylor Swift, if without the infrastructure of a big machine record label or Scott Borchetta, never ascends to the height. It has to be a symbiotic relationship for her to succeed at that level.
Yeah.
And at that time, that might have been true, but nowadays with YouTube and stuff, you can kind of make it on your own.
Potentially, but not at that level. Like Bieber was on YouTube, but it takes a Scooter Braun and a label and like an infrastructure in order to like explode, set up tours, get your music into movies and all that stuff. You're going to need some sort of manager or a label that you sign with that knows how to do those things. Usually, so it's like, what does that deal look like? And I guess that's the. I think, Max, what you were trying to say is like for every Taylor Swift, there's about 400 people that sign some sort of publishing deal that the label or the investor loses money on.
Oh, of course. I mean, like we've lost money labels. Like your band lost money labels.
Oh, big time.
Yeah,
we didn't break up because we didn't want to give the money back.
Yeah.
We thought we might have to on the record deal.
That's right.
Yeah, we're still together and available for weddings.
And so but why the Taylor thing feels a little hollow, or not hollow, but maybe a little petty, or this whole thing feels a little frivolous, is that she's not Chuck Berry. She has been able to, like, so much of her business is in sponsorship. It's on the live side. Like, she has the highest grossing tour of the year whenever she goes out on tour. Like, she has been the benefactor, not only of writing incredible songs and being really incredibly hardworking and a savvy business person, but also the fact that when she was 15 or 16 years old, Scott Borchetta identified her and said, okay, you know how much a radio campaign cost to launch a country artist in 2005? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. So like there was an initial investment period, and of course it went gangbusters immediately. So good on everybody. But like where somebody like Scott Borchetta needed to pony up his money, his relationships, and his infrastructure out of Nashville to make this thing go. So is Scott Borchetta and Scooter Braun being like unfairly compensated? Like, yeah, probably. It's like, but I think Scott Borchetta is probably worthy to a degree of making his money back and then some, because he was a part of launching the most successful.
Yeah, you take the risks so you can hit the lotto.
Yeah. So then.
Well, think of music like an iPhone or something like that. Think of music like a product.
Like a product, yeah.
So if venture capitalists invest in that product and it takes off, and it's an Instagram, and Instagram becomes this ubiquitous thing that everybody uses, right? It's like there's the person that created Instagram, the creator, right? Like the person that made the app. They will get paid handsomely for their vision and their sort of innovation. And
there's the investors.
And then there's the people that put the money in.
Yeah.
And they'll also get paid at a certain high percentage. And the way that capitalism and business works is ultimately we all get paid, and your app doesn't launch if we don't all pour in $400,000 each. So then, of course, we all get paid off of that. Now, the question is, and I think people have a problem distinguishing the two, is music a product the way that, say, an iPhone or Instagram is a product?
I'd say, I mean, Instagram is an incredibly creative tool.
Yeah.
Is a creative product in the same way that writing a song is, I think, a creative product.
Exactly.
I think there's a genius in both. So and I'm sure the person who created Instagram, I've heard him on a podcast, would say oh yeah, this is took me wandering around thinking about the best platform for sharing photos, and in the same way a creative thinks about writing a book or writing a piece of music. When something like this happens, I always go, all right, what's the solution here? And I know, and to Taylor's credit, she has identified issues of unfairness in the music industry when it comes to streaming royalties. And she references in her note to Scott Borchetta, she said, I signed with Lucian because I could have a positive effect on the industry. And I think in her announcement with Universal that she just signed this year, she said, now I should know this because Arkells are on Universal and this actually affects my life. But basically, I think because she said, if I'm signed with Universal, Universal must pay back or must begin to pay the streaming royalties to artists before they recoup their album. They're basically, she did something to stand up
some
for
sort of
artists.
language that will change the paradigm.
Yeah, which is fucking amazing. So God bless her. But I'm just kind of curious to know, what is the solution to this thing that we're in right now, where it's people are mad that Scott Borchetta So you were saying actually though that it's more about just the functionality of the working arrangement that's the most infuriating.
Yeah.
Or it's not. It's less about the money.
Well, I think that people on its face, they go, Taylor Swift wrote the songs. Why is this old record label guy even have a say in this? It's her created. Like she's the Picasso.
Yeah.
Why are these other people dealing with her art and selling her paintings? And why are they even getting a cut of the action?
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is the infrastructure.
Well, this has always been the case.
And this is how it works. But I think that's why they're having such a visceral reaction, because they go, person writes song, person should make money off song. Why does she even have to deal with other people? It's like, well, in the early days when she was launching to become what she is, a lot of people invested in it, like an app or anything like that. But I think music is one of those rare things that it's hard for people to see it as like a product. But there's a whole industry built on the idea of commoditizing. I might have used that word. I might not have pronounced that right. Music and songs, like that's why it's called the music business.
Yeah, and for any song, any great transcendent song to be heard, it does take like a factory of humans.
All this shit that no one ever sees.
Yeah, to launch the song and to make sure that it's being played on the radio, and there's like radio people knocking on the door at radio stations, and
gets into every
and then
market.
There's people that are greasing up advertising agencies to make sure that it gets into a commercial. There's a lot of like business being had on behalf of that piece of art.
Yes.
But nowadays, is that the same? Like I heard Post Malone just threw White Iverson up online, and then it blew up on its own.
There are examples. It is changing for sure, and there are definitely examples of songs that sort of just like have a life of their own. But I do think there is real merit to like building an artist's career and playing within that system.
Well, also, a lot of people have said like the internet has been this great sort of equalizer. They said, and I don't know how true it has cut out the middleman. So you talk direct to consumer. So like a Post Malone or like anyone.
There's YouTubers who just are millionaires now just for putting stuff on YouTube.
Yeah,
exactly. So they've already cut out, say, a television network. In the past, in order to be David Letterman, you needed to go and someone had to hire you. You had to get a TV show, and it had to be a network and all that stuff. YouTube has changed that paradigm. And then for music, though, I think it has, like you said, someone like Post Malone can drop like, a demo or a mixtape and become super famous. But then he does go into a system and infrastructure that already exists that involves touring and arrangement and the business of music. Now, when you have the leverage, you can sign a deal. I would imagine that like is more beneficial to you. But when you're 15-year-old Taylor Swift, and again, this happened in what, like 1999 or 2000?
When she signed the deal?
When was it, 2004?
Like 2004.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah.
But it's like, and maybe things were different then. So I don't know. Do you think things are changing?
Yeah, I think things are changing for sure. But I also think that like the music industry has adapted and figured out how to be in business with like SoundCloud rappers or people who throw up a song on YouTube. And then Post Malone realizes, in order for me to make even more money, I need to tour. I'm going to sign a deal with Live Nation, so they'll produce my whole tour and they'll give me a bunch of money up front, and then they'll take a cut of the money for producing the tour, because if you want a high level world-class tour, you need to be able to front a bunch of money to pay for production, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how those old infrastructures become involved in something new. Would you guys? So I guess my question is: do you guys have sympathy for Taylor, or like, that's where I'm kind of, because this is all a public relations.
That's kind of the heart of what we're talking. Yeah, exactly.
Which is so fucking amazing, because as I said off the top, it's like this never happens in public, and the fact that everybody is airing this dirty laundry is amazing.
Well, Mike and I are always talking about lately, I find how you're the hero or the villain, and then you're the hero again, and it's so cyclical. And I feel like Taylor's on a bit of a villain tip right now.
Yeah.
So right now I'm kind of like, I hate Taylor.
Uh-huh.
But, she, in a couple of years, I'd probably love her. But I think if a guy...
Is that a plug for her new album, Lover, coming on August 23rd?
No, see, I always do unintentional puns. I'm like you. But I feel like don't trust the guy named Scooter. It's... Like, it's not his real name. He's been given the moniker Scooter. Yeah. Like, it's very weaselly name. And I think there's a reason. Like, he'll just scoot off with your cash and shit.
That's got to be the name
he'll
of this
episode.
He'll just scoot off
with your cash. That would be the title of this episode.
He was actually on Bill Simmons' podcast like maybe a year and a half ago.
How'd he seem?
Yeah, pretty enlightened, smart dude. He's from New York, but then he went to Atlanta for school. For college, and he became a club promoter. He was sort of the nut of Atlanta.
Yeah,
like, I'm not kidding. And he, and then that's where he met like a bunch of the hip hop dudes in Atlanta, like Ludacris. And I remember when Bieber came out, he was kind of connected with Usher and Ludacris. And those guys were Atlanta guys. So anyway,
yeah, Ludacris rapped on Baby.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and he He's done an incredible job. Call Me Maybe is a hit because he seeded that on the internet with Bieber kind of dancing to it. And then he signed Carly Rae
viral clip.
Jepsen. And that obviously is one of the biggest songs of the summer of all time. So he's super fucking savvy. He's also sort of politically engaged too. He's very anti-gun violence. And I think his wife runs like a cancer thing. Like, I don't know. The guy has a lot going on.
Well, to get a wife like that too, you got to be pretty slick.
Or just rich.
Yeah. Well, Max, come on.
I think. Okay, so my thing with Taylor in anything like this, so it's like in any kind of issue like this, there's sort of like right and wrong is going to be based on your perspective. If you're a business person, you're going to go, well, this is how the business works. And Taylor, like, you knew that when you got into the industry, or maybe you didn't, but at least your parents did. If you're Taylor, you're going to go, well, I'm an artist and my music is pure, and why are all these people profiting off my stuff? Well, it's like there's an answer to that. So it's like when people get upset about this sort of thing, I think they're getting upset at the most black and white version of it. Person writes song, person should get paid for that song. Why is anyone else involved? It's like, well, okay, there's a nuance to that. Regardless of all of that and what's right and wrong, I think that what you should never do is get in a public forum and air your dirty laundry. I think that is that's public relations 101. And I know that she's an extremely powerful person and she probably feels completely untouchable. And she's like, fuck it, I'm going to speak up and I don't care. And I am pissed. I'm on one right now. So I'm going to just do it. I'm Taylor Swift. Fuck it. It's like, go for it.
I wonder how many times in her career she's wanted to write a blog about something that's pissed her off.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
that's how she uses her music, right? That's basically like a lyrical
It's kind of
blog.
her brand. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's kind of a cool move. Just skip the system and say fuck it and put it out there.
I do. I like this. So what I'm saying is, it's like I think it's great for people like us because it's fodder for podcasts.
Well, and it's effective for to get what she wants. Like, it's making these people look very bad to her fans. Like
To her fans, though, but I think to a lot of other people, they go to adults.
Yeah. I think here's why I think it's kind of not a great move for her. To Max's point, it's like people are kind of looking at it going, well, this is kind of petulant. Like, this is the business. Like, you signed a deal. He sold your catalog.
Not only is it the business, is that when you see the response from other people, you go, oh, actually, maybe I kind of identify more.
But now we're all talking about like making like a paradigm shift in the way that the music is done, the music industry, right? So it's gotten us all talking. Everyone's thinking about it.
Here's the second part, though, why I don't think it's a good idea. Is because she still has to work with these people. It'd be one thing if she was like, I want to flame these fuckers, burn this bridge. They still own her
music. Yeah, but she's Michael Jordan. You're going to pass him the ball no matter what, or her the ball in this case, or the guitar in this case.
That's true.
Well, but what's interesting, too, is that there is an argument to be made. I mean, Taylor Swift obviously is incredibly powerful, and she's probably, maybe with Beyonce and Adele, like the top female act in the world, probably.
Yeah.
But Scooter Braun goes, sure, you're Taylor Swift, but I work with Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, Carly Rae Jepsen, like go down the line. So like collectively, between all the power Borchetta has in country music and Scooter Braun has in pop music, they actually have more power than Taylor on a certain level. Like when they're jockeying for radio spins, those are behind closed door conversations that I wonder when there's like a radio festival happening. I'll give you like a specific example. I can imagine Scooter going, do you want Bieber, Ariana Grande, Carly Rae Jepsen, and he manages a bunch of other acts. You want all those people to play your radio festival in LA? Well, Taylor can't be on the bill. And then that fucks over Taylor when it comes to radio spins. So there is a bunch of shit that could happen.
I don't know. If Taylor writes a big hit and everyone wants to see it, like,
but here's the thing though. But the nature of music is fickle. What if her next hit isn't a hit?
And then her first.
Well, she bets on her future.
Well, she did.
But her first two songs though are not
they
that great.
Suck.
Yeah.
I would bet on the past.
So and let me clarify too. I do empathize with Taylor a lot. I understand her anger. I do get why she's mad because here's the deal. Like you said, Scooter works with Bieber. He works with Ariana. He has all this power, and so of course he wants to work with Taylor. Taylor's like, I don't want anything to do with you, bro. He's bought his way into Taylor being on his roster now. He now has her under his sort of like whatever you want to call flowchart of power,
yeah.
And she's like, dude, I never signed up for that, and because of some deal I signed when I was 15, I'm now kind of fucked. And I don't want to be in business with you, but you bought me. And that is a terrible feeling. And so I understand the anger, and I do empathize with it.
Imagine she stopped playing her hits from like the first 5 albums. Would that fuck over Scooter?
It's on the
It
table.
would. I mean, there's another
Fuck over the fans.
There's another scenario
Yeah.
where she re-records all those albums, so she owns the masters. Because the master is the master original recording. That's where that term
good
comes from.
workaround.
So people have said that like that's actually a hypothetical, like where someone's like she gets on the train to Brooklyn and she goes to Jack Antonoff's apartment and they just re-record all those albums.
Redo the whole
Is that
record.
allowed, or do you need to change it like to?
No.
like-
You can.
oh.
She owns the songwriting, like so. It's like it's her songs. It's just
cool.
the master recording itself would have to be changed for her to own it, and she'd pay for it. The way you own a master recording is that you put the money up for it. So she could hypothetically re-record all this shit.
Oh, cool.
Which is really funny.
That
It would be like a
hilarious.
massive waste of
Do
time.
you know if they have like publishing or like the rights to play live and all that stuff? Like
I think so. When you own the master recording, like you have access to those revenue streams.
right. But those would go away if she re-recorded the song.
Yeah.
So then when she played like
Oh, good question. Like who would own?
Exactly.
I don't know. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, it's a messy situation, but back to the sort of like airing your dirty laundry in public. What are your feelings on what Taylor did?
I kind of find that when I'm dealing with music industry myself, like there's two ways to look at it. One is like it's your life. It's so personal. It's like this idea of some guy who I fucking hate. I have to be in business with. But then I also try to step back a little bit and go, this is all frivolous bullshit. Like who cares? Like Taylor Swift is so wildly successful beyond anyone's wildest dreams that it's like, all right, so this guy fucking owns your first 4 records. If you could either be pissed off about it or you just play nice and you'll make more money as a result of him working your product. Because I imagine she still makes money from those recordings.
I think
as
that's
well.
probably where the Scooter people are coming from. Where they're like, "Yo,
Well,
chill
it's
out.
like,
Like,
it's
we're
like, I
all
wanna
going
be
to
a
make $1 billion bucks
a
together."
proud custodian of the work. So let's do this fucking together. And I just find like I just have less patience because it's all fun and games. It's all funny money at this point. I have just less patience for Taylor getting like that bent out of shape about it.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with principle too. When you have so much money, that's all it's about.
Sure, that's a good
Kind of all
point.
that's left in some ways is your principles and what you'll stand up for. Because
Yeah,
like
that's
you
a- that's a
said,
good
there's
point.
nothing left you can't buy.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I just find that like, I'm in a much smaller tax bracket.
Yeah, you would
Obviously,
never pull this shit because you're in like a hot air balloon ascending right now. You wouldn't want anyone to like fuck with the weather.
Sure, but also I just find that like there's much bigger problems out there in the world that I always think that my job is such a fucking joke.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, and there's probably, like you're saying, there's times where you could have burned bridges at shit you were mad about,
Yeah.
and then you were like,
Oh, just yeah. It's to Shane's point, probably not worth it because it'd probably create a shitstorm. But also, I think pragmatically, I'm more into like let's play nice and like try to, even if there's people you don't.
Yeah,
Totally
you have
love.
a very normal temperament for like a diva type person.
you're on the more normal scale of the divas.
Here's a question, guys. If something some big public thing like this happened, would you jump to my defense on Instagram? Would you guys post like a note defending my character?
I would, yeah, for sure. Easy.
Shane likes to mix it up though on the old internets.
Yeah.
He would get in there for sure.
Well, you got to defend your pal.
That's true.
And especially if you believe in your pal,
Yeah,
you would.
I
I would
agree.
just make sure Alex like spell checked it
Edited
and all that. 100%. You wouldn't,
Mike, would you
wouldn't,
defend
Mike.
me?
I'd defend you. I'd
Really?
defend you. Well, I'd have to look at me. I'd like to look at every angle. Are you in the right? Are you in the wrong? Like, it's hard for me to blind defend anything. I like nuance, baby. That's what life is about. It's not black and white for me. But on first blush, do I defend you? Of course. You're one of my best friends in the world. I would defend you.
But I have implicit trust that anything Max did would have good reason.
You don't know him very well.
All right.
I'm just kidding. Of course. Yeah. Like it's like yeah.
No,
listen,
you know what,
I
though?
would defend you. Would you defend me blindly?
No. No. I'm always of the sort of like the Larry David school. Like don't bother. Stop. Don't, like
Be quiet.
yeah. The whole thing. Like I was just thinking of like Lauren defending my honor and like in the way that Scooter Braun's thing did, and I just like Lauren would never do that in a million years.
Oh, yeah.
And she would. And I wouldn't want her to either. Like I just feel like me being the center of attention to that degree, I just be like, guys, just carry on with your day. Like, don't worry about it. It's like it's fine.
That would be my dream if Alex defended me in some beautifully
she
worded
would.
post.
She would do that.
I don't know.
Of course she would.
I don't know. I got a Father's Day card from her, and it was just like, "Thanks for looking after me when I was hungover." I was like, that's it. I'm writing like poetry, and like I'm crying at what I've written to her, and like,
It's beautiful.
So yeah, I was a little disappointed with the Father's Day card, but yeah, I did really think Yale defended her man pretty well.
I thought that was a very effective post. Yeah, that was very, very impressive. But it is interesting because Taylor's obviously going to have all the artists on her side because artists. I mean, aside from Max, who seems to be leaning more like
more Borchetta.
Well, you need to kiss a guy like Borchetta's ass more than Taylor.
I have Borchetta's number.
Wow. Yeah, have you asked him about this yet?
I haven't texted him yet. Should I?
You should,
Yeah.
Hey man, tough couple days.
I got your back, buddy. Just say that.
But please don't post this.
Oh man.
Oh jeez Louise.
No, you know what? It's you know what it really is, and I should know better because time and time again I have to remind myself that like you don't know what it's like to be in someone's shoes until you've experienced it yourself. But whenever I see any act like bigger musician getting upset about anything, I always go, "What are you mad about? Life is good, man."
Wow.
So that's not Taylor specific. That's just generally when I hear any like, massively successful act like pulling a temper tantrum or being like unhappy about something. I'm like, do you know like jobs people have? Like, fuck off. Like that's usually my attitude. So that's where my instinct for being.
You'd be a good
shrugging my
musician
shoulders.
mediator, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think I think you're right actually.
You have the ability to sort of understand both sides, though. I think that's one of your talents. Is like you can understand the business side, which you're savvy at, and you're also an artist, so you can understand sort of the emotional connection to the music and being a creator. And you sort of live in both places.
Yeah, and also I'd say that even my parents like and their jobs and what they do, it's like teacher, social worker. It's just like also this is all who gives a shit. This is like not actually important.
It's entertainment, baby.
It's just fucking entertainment. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
There's like way bigger problems out there. Like I was trying to what was I was talking to Lauren last night. I picked her up. She was finishing a shift at the hospital. She's a nurse. And I forget what I was trying to go on about. I think the Taylor Swift thing. And she's like, "Max, I don't fucking care." I like you know what I fucking do you know how much like shit I cleaned up today? Like I don't
Literally.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Do they still wear like the short skirt with the hat with the red cross on it?
Yeah, push up right.
Nurse outfit. Get a Malabar. What do they wear? Do they wear like scrubs?
Oh yeah, I actually like I can show you a photo.
Yeah.
No, literally, it's like blue like ill form-fitting scrubs. Yeah.
Ew, gross. All right, well, that's quite the topic. Do we head to Mandarin or?
Yeah, let's get to Mandarin.
Let's go to Mandarin. All you can eat buffet. So the Mandarin is in the news. CBC.ca has a story. Mandarin's free Canada Day buffet for citizens panned as discrimination. Social media lights up over rule that diners must prove Canadian citizenship to get the free buffet. So Mandarin, in some sort of promotion, was like, listen, it's Canada Day. If you come in here and you're a Canadian citizen, you eat for free.
But bring your passport or birth certificate with you.
You got it, my friend. In order to prove that you are a Canadian citizen, you needed a passport, like Shane said, Canadian citizenship, like card type deal, or any sort of proof that you are, in fact, a Canadian citizen. I guess there's an uproar about this because...
It's discriminatory, I guess.
for people who aren't officially Canadian citizens.
Yeah, okay. So I guess the issue is, but the promotion is you get a free meal if you're a Canadian citizen.
Yeah.
So the issue is that there are people that live in Canada that don't have the paperwork yet, and they don't get the free meal.
Yeah, they're just on like a work visa. They're seeing,
or they're new in town, and they.
Sorry, is the issue that
it's discrimination against people?
But is the issue that like if you're here, no matter what, you should get the free meal?
Yeah.
That's it. So it's like it can't just be for Canadian
It's like
citizens.
healthcare. Like if you live in Canada but aren't a Canadian citizen, you can still get healthcare if you're like a landed immigrant.
Right.
But you're not a Canadian citizen.
The second I heard this story, though, I knew the rationale behind it. First thing I did, I was like, do they have a Mandarin in Niagara Falls? Yes.
There you go.
Is Buffalo like I would never say it's a shithole or anything like that. I wouldn't do that. But that's the reason, because a lot of people are.
I was just in Buffalo for Canada Day, and it was
I
fucking
love,
awesome.
I love Buffalo. When I say I wouldn't say it's a shithole, I'm not being funny here.
Right.
But Mandarin's probably looking at it like, oh, there's a lot of buildings boarded up over there. A free buffet meal probably sounds pretty good. They've done this 5 other times in the past, and I bet you people ran for the border. It caused a bunch of issues
Shit,
there.
you did your research. They've done it 5 times in the
So
past.
you think
Well, in the article, it has the dates.
So you think it's a Buffalo Americans invading Canada issue?
100%
For the free meal.
100%.
Okay, I think then maybe that is the issue. I think it's a little more interesting.
That's a practical issue.
That's a practical issue.
People are arguing the philosophical issue.
Yeah, there's like human rights lawyers that are getting involved in this fucking thing.
Yeah, everybody wants a free meal.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the problem. So Mandarin doesn't want to say, okay, here's the problem. Buffalo's a little destitute and people are coming over for the free meals. They can't say that. So
They nearly
have to
put us out of business in Niagara Falls.
Yeah. So the thing which there's a lot of parts which I find funny about this thing is that the beautiful like idea of Canada is that you can come from anywhere, retain your own culture, will celebrate your own culture, but you can also be Canadian. So we celebrate the Chinese New Year. There's like Little Italy. There's the Greek communities. Like there's so many communities from all around the world that live in Canada that are proud Canadians. Like when we played Canada Day in Victoria and in Ottawa back-to-back years, it was way more like new Canadians at this thing than white people. I'm not kidding. It was like the white people were all at their fucking cottage. Like the new Canadians all came to Parliament Hill, like draped in Canada gear because they're just so
much pride in
so
being
much pride in
Canadian,
being here. And so this is an Asian establishment, a Chinese establishment, Mandarin, going, hey, like we're kind of not returning the favor, but like we want to be a part of this. Like we serve Chinese food, but we are also proud to be Canadians. And let's celebrate that. And here's kind of a goofy promotion. We're bringing your Canadian citizenship papers and meals on us. Like because even though we weren't necessarily born here, we want to.
So you think those schlubs from Buffalo should be able to enjoy a free meal?
No, I'm okay. Buffalo aside, because that is funny. And that is probably on a practical level true. But there's Mandarins across the country that weren't dealing with idiots from Buffalo. So let's talk about because I think the uproar was less about Buffalo and more about. Pull up that article. Literally, there's like human rights lawyers.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, just like
give me a couple quotes from there.
So there's some tweets, like obviously Mandarin says, celebrate, blah, 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 bring your ID. And then people had responded, someone named Jonah on Twitter said, what an excellent way to lose temporary and permanent residents, clients. I like to skip lines, so I wouldn't celebrate my Canada Day on Mandarin anyways. Thanks for letting me know that I'm not welcome in your restaurant, though. I personally don't have a problem with that at all. I'm a proud Canadian. I'm more than happy to show proof, so some people are positive. This is awesome. I'll enjoy a free meal. Someone says, this is gross. This doesn't honor Canada Day. I'd rather pay to eat at some place that doesn't discriminate. Someone says, I'm an international student and shame on your requirements. I will never come back to you even after I get citizenship.
So this becomes an issue of social justice, really. So something that was seemingly supposed to be sort of like a feel-good thing has become an issue of discrimination.
Right.
Which is not probably what the people at Mandarin conceived of when they were thinking, like, not in a million years did they think like, oh, this thing that we thought we were being so nice about.
They thought only Buffalo would be mad.
Yeah. To be honest, I wouldn't have predicted this either. Usually when a corporation does some sort of PR thing, you can tell that they've thought a lot about like who are people we're possibly offending, and let's make sure that we don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think the Mandarin that ever crossed their mind. This was supposed to be just something that was awesome.
Dude, so is do you think that if they're going to offer promotion for Canada Day, it just should be everyone eats free?
Yeah.
That should be the promotion across the board. Don't worry about bringing ID. Just everyone eats free.
They thought they were being cute by like having people
bring your
prove.
papers in.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So I think the way the Mandarin probably gets around it, if they want to do something like this next year, is they say like, prove your love for Canada. Prove your love for being part of this country that accepts all kinds of people, and meals on us. And like,
imagine for Pride, you had to prove you were gay and you got a free meal. And no bisexuals in huge capital letters outside.
They go through your Instagram. Like, I saw you kissing a girl. You're out.
They kick you out of Pride. You're getting dragged out. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's an ill-conceived concept because
But here's the thing,
you're being exclusive, and you never want to be exclusive.
But I
as
think
a
they've been doing
business.
this for a while though,
Yeah.
and no one gave a shit. It's just like this.
We're in that age
Yeah.
where you're going to point out any little thing.
Yeah, but I do. But it's so if you said like bring in your Canadian citizenship papers or like wear your finest Canada gear on Canada Day in our restaurant and meals on us, but it just feels like out of all the things that are unjust, is that a word? Unjust?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of injustice. Unjust? There's
I don't know.
injustice.
I think unjust is a word.
Is it, Mike?
I'd have to look it up.
Whatever. All the things that are unfair in our culture. These kinds of stories always bother me a little bit because it's like the time spent getting outraged about this would be just better served in some other place that really needs
Like waiting in line for 5 hours?
what?
Oh, I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, like waiting in line or like getting like
because I actually have an issue with free stuff. People giving away free stuff. I think it's the most annoying thing in the world. People are always acting like time is so important, like time's more important than money.
Yeah.
But anytime like Tim Hortons is like, it's free Timbit Day, there's a 5-hour line. And it's just annoying. Like imagine you just wanted to go to Mandarin with your family to celebrate Canada Day. And now you got to wait in an 8-hour line.
Oh, it's out. Yeah, you can't go now.
Yeah, there should be like a separate dining room.
It's never worth it. For all the people like temporary citizens who can't go, it's honestly a good thing.
Yeah, we're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
Some people do need a free meal though, man. Like if you're a student or your family doesn't make a lot of money income wise, like I don't know.
Work an 8-hour shift at McDonald's then, and then you'll get more money. No, it's just such a waste of valuable time.
Right.
I find.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get the waiting in line argument.
Like, would you ever wait in line for a free donut?
No, but I'm doing pretty good, man.
Okay.
You know, like that's like I have empathy for someone that would wait in line for free donut.
I guess if you're homeless, and I guess you can't
there's always
get
a mix
job.
of people. There's the people that just love free shit. Like they cannot turn down free shit. Like let's say that they were giving out free Nikes, but it was 5 sizes too big for you. There are people that are going to want those free. They could be the ugliest shoes in the world. They could not fit your feet, but you will wait because just on principle, I'm waiting in line for free stuff. And there's people that actually really need shit. So they're like, fuck, I actually do need a pair of shoes, so I am going to wait the 5 hours. I'm not either of those people, so like it's hard for me to like be like these people are silly. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, do what you got to do.
Oh, I just think it's a huge waste of time, and I think if you are actually homeless or whatever, you can get food at a homeless shelter.
This might be another reason the Mandarin wants ID is because then they actually weed out a lot of people that are homeless who won't have proper citizenship
good point.
ID.
Good point.
So that could be a thing.
Sure. Yeah. So,
but I do lean toward Max. Like of all the things to get upset about, like we're all going to target the Mandarin now because they tried to do a free promotion. And
yeah, that was like it's supposed to be kind of feel good. It was not supposed to hurt anybody's feelings, and then it turned into that thing. And I think that's just like what we all anybody who's like a progressive who wants to see change and wants to be generous and look out for their community. Just be mindful of when you take to social media over like something like this, where you're like, is this really where the hill you want to die on kind of thing?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So to sum it up, Taylor's got to chill, and the Mandarin is not raging xenophobics.
All right.
I think so. That's a funny idea.
That's good enough.
Are we doing a third topic or no?
Let's do it. I'm down. You
What is
down?
it?
Well, let's do the Danny Green thing.
I'm very surprised how down the room got over this Mandarin story. I thought it was way more frivolous and fun.
Oh, it was hilarious. I'm not down about it at all.
Right.
No, I loved it.
I had
Yeah.
some more Buffalo humor, but everyone seemed to get mad at it. But anyway. I'm just kidding, by the way, because I honestly do really like Buffalo. And I know you just vacationed there with your wife.
It was great.
I love Buffalo.
It was great.
Good pals in Buffalo. Shouts to Tim Maroney. He's probably listening to this right now.
What up, Tip?
Love Buffalo.
Okay, so our last story of the day is Danny Green, shooting guard of the Toronto Raptors, although who knows how much longer as we are in free agency. Had a bunch of camps all across Canada. I guess he did a camp in Ottawa, I want to say. And there was a CBC reporter that interviewed Danny. And during the interview, they talked about all the things that would be talked about typically at a camp. And then after the interview, the CBC reporter posted a photo where Danny at his camp was charging something like $50 for like a T-shirt and a photo and a signature. There was like a monetary value.
$25 for a photo.
25 for a photo,
Yeah.
like 50 for
A signature. Yeah.
a signature on the photo. Whatever. There was like a tiered pricing system for things like a photo, a signature,
And a T-shirt.
And a T-shirt. Whatever. So the CBC reporter, after he interviews Danny, posts online Is this something that most athletes do? Does anyone know if NHL athletes do this? Just for the record, Danny Green makes $10 million US a year, and he's charging for this. So the implication by this reporter is basically, it's like, how dare Danny do this? Danny responds, speaking of speaking out and whatever, Danny replies to the Twitter. He's like, is it common for reporters to sort of fangirl out while they're talking to me and not bring this up in the interview and then try to embarrass me after?
I think it's fanboy, but yeah.
Fanboy.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing all of this, sorry.
Yeah.
And I guess the question is, and by the way, I do think that reporter was absolutely trying to sort of embarrass Danny, especially when he compared it to NHL players. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
That was weird. Yeah.
Like when he's like, does anyone know if NHL players do this? Two, the reporter then had to backtrack. He's like, I did see this before I talked to you, but I thought it would ruin the vibe of the interview, blah, blah, blah. He's like, so I will admit that. It's just like, anyway, the way that was all handled is sort of a social media, I don't know, I guess faux pas, or just kind of got messy and weird. And it's kind of weird that Danny even responded to him. Anyway, I guess my question is, what do we think about athletes who make $10 million US a year charging for things that cost nothing, like photos and signatures?
Well, it was jarring to see that photo, to see okay, $50 for a T-shirt, a little expensive for a T-shirt, but if you go to any concert, that T-shirts can cost that much money, and you're also have to print it and ship it. There's a cost of that. But it was jarring to see a photo cost $25 or a signature cost $25. So my issue, kind of back to the Mandarin and being a corporation or being a brand, and Danny Green is a corporation and a brand, it's just the lack of foresight that he had that would be a bad look. So, he said that he was paying his staff with some of the money. It's like, first of all, don't judge me. You don't know how I'm running my business. That money doesn't go to me and my $10 million a year. It goes to outfitting this whole operation.
And for all we know, Danny, what it costs to go into Montreal and set up a camp and rent the venue and do all this stuff and hire the people that it's involved. Maybe it costs. Maybe you lose money.
Maybe
on
you
lose
money.
That.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, you don't want to necessarily speculate on people's business. So, but I did think it was bad. It was an unwise move of Danny to charge for those things because it is, I think, pretty uncommon, and he's just kind of asking for criticism. Is my take.
Well, I think you got to know your own value, and if people are willing to pay, do it.
Really?
Well, if you just see Danny on the street and you get a photo with him, I'm sure he's not going to charge you. But if you're guaranteed to get Danny's time, he's going to stand there in a huge.
You're already paying to go to this camp,
right? And I'm sure, let's say Arkells, I'm sure there's special VIP packages, and if you pay a certain amount, you get to give Max a hug and a kiss on the cheek, right?
Well, yeah, the VIP packages include a Q&A, an acoustic performance, a photo op, signature. So you're right. We have upcharge, but it's part of a bigger package where it includes a particular experience that not everybody else at the show gets. And it's also an additional hour and a half out of our day schedule. It's just
so this is taking time out of Danny's day. It's not everyone in the camp gets it.
No, so this just goes back to the way it was rolled out, which is the problem. I don't necessarily have a problem with Danny Green trying to monetize things that he's doing and the time it would take to take all the photos with the 300 campers and the thing. I totally get that, but it was just rolled out really poorly. It shouldn't have been framed picture $25. That's just was jarring. It was kind of gross.
I guess, and you act it's something that's free, and then you see all these guys waiting outside with memorabilia or multiple laminates of Danny's photo, and he signs them, and then they go off and sell them on eBay, and they make a profit off them.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it was.
I'm saying it's right.
Yeah.
You're passionate about Mandarin issues. This is my thing.
No, I'm just saying. You understand what I'm saying?
I think it's a bad. I think no matter
look.
what, it's a bad look. I absolutely, and I don't think people are having a nuanced sort of thought process like Shane is about it. And I get 100% what Shane's saying, but I'm just saying when you look at this handwritten thing that looks like it was kind of
printed out.
I also think players are underpaid too.
Right. Well, I completely agree with as far as supply and demand. If we want to talk about capitalism, LeBron James is grossly underpaid, as I've talked about this a million times, but we won't get super deep into that. But I think that Danny Green at $10 million a year is probably properly paid, or maybe even a little overpaid, to be honest, for what he generates. People don't come out to see Danny Green, but he contributes to winning. I think LeBron James, if you compare him to someone like Bruce Springsteen, if Bruce Springsteen goes into 82 venues a year, there's no cap to what he can make and what he charges. LeBron James can only make $35 million a year.
Let's say Danny Green hit the Game 7 shot instead of Kawhi. which he very well could have.
He becomes more valuable as an entertainer.
Right, but he's a sharpshooter who really could have helped us a lot in the playoffs.
Totally. And there's a bunch of other guys in the league that can do what Danny can do. I mean, this is kind of now we're getting into the weeds, but I do think that I think if you run a camp and there's costs involved, you can absolutely charge for those things. I do think that it's going to be weird for like Joe, dude on the street to see that a guy that makes $10 million US a year is charging kids ostensibly at a camp who are already paying to be at the camp an extra $50 for a photo. This would be the other argument. That's these kids can afford to go to a camp.
Sure.
But listen, is it a bad look? Yeah. Does he have a right to charge it? He certainly has a right. But I mean, I think it's going to make him less likable.
Yeah.
To people. Don't you think?
Maybe.
Yeah. I think it's literally just like a rollout, like a poorly executed rollout. So, question: next time we want to sell Mike on Much gear to people in the parking lot. And by the way, DM us if you want any Mike on Much gear.
That's how we've been doing it.
Do we charge for a photo?
No. What you do is you cleverly attach it into like a VIP package.
Mike on Much can be found on Twitter and Instagram at Mike on Much. You can subscribe to the show on any platform that has podcasts. Spotify, do it.